How do marketers create value for a product or service? This is a fascinating topic. It's one of my favorites ever. I went through years of failure, and then I suddenly realized, oh my gosh, this is how the game's played, and then followed by 46 successes. So I went through 5 years of failure, followed by 3 years of it doing very, very well. And that's what I'm gonna teach you more about in this video. Let's dive in. All right, back in the early 1900s, there was a guy, his name was Albert Lasker. Super cool guy. I think he was called like the father of advertising at some point. Him and David Ogilvy. And some of these old school rich dead marketers are really the guys that I look at a lot. There's a really cool famous story about Albert Lasker. There's a company that came to him one year. It was an orange company. It was Sunkist. Sunkist came to him, they weren't called Sunkist yet, and said, hey, for some reason, our orange trees are overproducing. We have nowhere to put all these oranges. We're cutting down our own orange trees right now. Help us. That's a fascinating problem. So they're cutting down their own supply because they don't have enough places to put their oranges. That's a powerful business and marketing problem, right? That's real. And so what did Albert Lasker do? He went and he was like, crap, I gotta sell a lot of inventory really, really quickly. So what he and his firm went to work doing is they were trying to figure out how to move a lot of inventory. Now, there's a few ways to do that. You could just increase ad spend, or try and get people to come buy oranges faster. He thought of a totally different way to do this. He and his firm went out and they figured out, like, what if you were to squeeze the orange and have the juice from it? I'm saying it that way because orange juice was not a thing. He invented it. And this is how orange juice came about. So he and his firm went and created, you know that little orange press, right? Like it's got all the ribs around it, right? You squeeze the juice in. They created that. And what his offer was like, if you go buy this orange press for 10 cents, we will give you a bundle of oranges for free. What did that do? It moved tons of inventory off the shelf, saved Sunkist as a company, and invented orange juice, and probably that thing you all have in your kitchen. Super cool story, right? So what I want to do is real fast, I want to walk through that and kind of use that as a lens, as a pre-frame for the next few principles I'm going to walk through on how you create value for a product or service. Because orange juice wasn't a thing. And it took 2 to 3 oranges to fill a single glass, so it moved a lot of inventory really quickly. All right, now before diving into this, let's talk about what value even is. Title of this video, right? How do marketers create value? Value. People often think that value is money. But value is not money, right? There's price, there's cost, and there's value. Price is what you charge, cost is what you pay to do it all, and value? It's not the same thing as price. What is value? I asked this question a couple of years ago, and I went on kind of this kick trying to figure out what value is, and it actually led me to Adam Smith, father of capitalism, funny enough. And back in, I think it was 1700s, Adam Smith over in Europe, this is what was happening. Value was not determined the same way then as it is now. Well, here's what was happening. Let's say that you were a shovel maker in Europe, because there's all these rural people, right? It's massive agricultural area. Everyone's got the family farm, and you sell shovels, and you sell amazing shovels, but it takes you 3 days to make a shovel. Someone else comes along, they make the same exact shovel in 1 day. Back in those times, it was common to say, well, that shovel took me 3 days to make, even though it's the same shovel. Therefore, I must charge more. Wait, just because it took the person who created it longer to make it means they charge more? It was really interesting. Value was determined back then a lot more. It was a very common thought that value was determined by the creator, not the end user. And Adam Smith, one of the reasons he rocked the boat so much is because he's like, value is determined by the end user, right? So you and I, the consumer, get to choose what's valuable. Does this make sense? So we want to make sure that what we're creating is valuable in the eyes of those that are going to be buying it. This is a classic new entrepreneur, new marketer mistake, to make what you think is cool. You don't fill your own wallet, so stop caring so much about your own opinions. You got to learn the opinions of those you're going to be selling. So let's actually define value itself here. Value is nothing more than usefulness. That's it. Value is usefulness. Okay, so it's still useful in the middle of a pandemic for people to laugh, therefore entertainment companies don't go under. Does that make sense? Usefulness. It doesn't always mean an actual utility thing, but sometimes people need to laugh. They want to look good and feel good, so fashion sticks around. Does that make sense? So what I do is, how do we create value for a product or service? Back to the title of this video, flip it. How do we create usefulness for a product or service? All we go do is we figure out all the cool ways that you could use a product, and we tell stories about it. That's really the answer. We go figure out how this service right here, what are all the cool ways we could use it? Now let's tell and build story around that. So I want to go into this next piece right here about a story with it. So, okay, Steve, if usefulness is what value, if value is usefulness and you tell story to increase that, what stories do we tell? Why do we tell story? I just want to give a quick example right here of this water bottle. How much would you pay for a bottle of water, right? Let's say you're not at some massively inflated fair, right? Like $1? I don't know. But let's say that it's the only bottle of water and you're in the middle of a desert. It's a classic water bottle desert story, right? It's the only bottle of water and there's 3 people and you don't have any other water. How much is that worth now? Fascinating. Why is the price suddenly more? Usefulness is what just went up. Usefulness is just what tweaked up. Story provides context. That's why it's so powerful. So if you want to increase the value of what you sell, simple short answer, you have to tell more story. Lots of story. Marketers are storytellers because what it does is it bends context. Let me give you one more example here. I became an Eagle Scout when I was a teenager, and my grandpa was a captain in the Navy. And when I became an Eagle Scout, he made a phone call, and they flew a flag on the White House, and then took that flag and presented it to me. So let's back up. Now, I've already given you the answer. Let's back up here. How much would you pay for an American flag from the store? Probably $20, right? That's probably it. How much does it cost to make an American flag once we ship it from China? Too soon? $2. Okay, fascinating. But now let's add the story of what I just said. Oh my gosh, grandfather makes a phone call. He commands tons of ships. He was a spy. He snuck into North Korea. He's a super cool dude. And then he makes a phone call and he goes and they get this flag. $20 for that American flag? Anybody? No. Why? Value. Value is what tweaked. I want you to write this phrase down, and this is this principle I'm trying to illustrate here. Story amplifies value. The flag already has value in it, okay? But story amplifies existing value by giving context. So how do we create value for a product or service? How does a marketer do that? Story. It comes down to increasing usefulness by telling story. That's really the answer for this. Before going on to this last piece here, guys, go ahead and hit the like and the subscribe button. I would love to know what you're thinking about this video, this podcast episode, if you will, this video here. I'd love to know also down below in the comments, let me know what has been the most compelling marketing story you have ever heard. I think it'd be fun to have a little bit of a bank in the comments below of everyone saying, this is some of the coolest marketing stories I've ever heard that really made me go, wow, I have to have this product. The price is not even an object anymore. Super fun to start asking those questions. I'll see them in the comments. All right, so if we now know that value equals usefulness, you become more useful based on the story you tell, because the story you tell creates context. Let's go back to story. What's another way to use story to increase value? Okay, and there are so many marketers that have talked about this concept, guys. There's tons of this out here, okay? Marketers are storytellers. Marketers tell what the biggest weapon in our toolkit is story and understanding why it works and the frameworks that good story is told under, okay? But the other thing that good story brings you is education. I believe it's Claude Hopkins that said, whatever claim you use in your advertisement to get attention, it should tell a story reasonably complete. I think I botched it a little bit, but that was the concept of it. Is that you are trying to tell a story and you're trying to educate throughout. So any kind of ad that you put out there's a big misnomer right now about ads, that they have to be funny. That in order for you to be a good marketer, you have to be funny. Marketing has nothing to do with comedy. Okay, and in fact, it's a huge, huge thing that will kill a lot of things that someone might have bought. What marketing advertising is about is storytelling and small little nibbles of education, okay? That's all you're doing. You're just educating enough so that they take the next step into the fog and go, oh my gosh, it's not that scary. Actually, I'm open to a new product like that, right? And then maybe it didn't sell them, so you tell another little story, and that just makes another little step into the fog. They are trying to create a situation. So you're trying to create a situation where the pieces of content and story that you tell are inching them closer to realizing, I should buy that product. That's basically what you're doing. And that's the purpose of marketing. So I'm really stoked that people are typing in and asking the question, how do we create value as a marketer for a product or service? The answer is quite simply story. Lots of it, carefully constructed story told in ways that break and rebuild beliefs, break and rebuild context, and give little micro engaging pieces of education that just inch somebody closer to the sale. Hey guys, I know you like that video. There's a lot of education in there, and I was trying to keep it high level. I kind of went deep in a few places. If you want more though, I have a free presentation that will walk you through some more of the concepts I'm talking about. They're not crazy deep. I'm not some crazy, they're for the layman marketer. You understand? You don't need to be like crazy high level to understand them. Go to internetlaunchsecrets.com. Internetlaunchsecrets.com is a free presentation that will walk you more of these launch concepts for your products.